Could bio-based materials hold the keys to renovating and building our cities more sustainably? The clue is in the bio part of the term. Bio suggests that these materials have something to do with living organisms, and indeed they do, as they are derived from plants and animals. Be careful not to confuse bio-based materials with eco-materials. A small but important difference. Eco-materials is in fact a much broader category. It includes minerals used in construction, like clay, stone, and others not derived from living matter.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Given the current pace of construction and renovation, finding alternatives to complement traditional building materials is now a critical issue for the future of the construction industry.
More concretely, what does the term bio-based materials actually mean? And how is this idea reinventing the world of tomorrow?
I'm James.
And I'm Amy. Together, let's decode the ideas that are shaping the future of sustainable construction.
Constructing New Worlds by Saint-Gobain. Behind words, solutions, and innovations for a sustainable future.
Climate change in the 21st century is affecting quality of life on Earth and biodiversity. Human activities are a major cause of this, and let's face it, the construction industry in particular. Bio-based materials therefore offer valuable alternatives, since they come from local, renewable sources. They also give traditional materials a good run for their money in terms of technical performance.
So, in what ways are bio-based materials valuable?
Well, let's start by clarifying that in order to qualify as bio-based, a material must be composed of renewable raw materials. Not to mention produced in a responsible way. This can be timber, hemp, straw, recycled textiles, chaff, cork, flax, thatch, or meadowgrass. The industry is spoiled for choice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in addition, bio-based materials need to be just as technically capable, energy efficient, and resistant as traditional materials. They must also meet standard construction and housing codes.
Is that all?
Actually, no, there's more. Bio-based materials must comply with the quality standards expected for regular building applications. This means they must deliver thermal and acoustic comfort and be safe, in particular when it comes to fire safety. However, some bio-based materials are more susceptible to attacks by fungi and other natural organisms, so the environment they are used in is another important consideration.
Sounds tough. What are the carbon impacts?
Well, the biggest benefit of bio-based materials is their ability to capture carbon through a building's lifespan. And because they are derived from renewable resources, mostly byproducts of agriculture or forestry, bio-based materials can be maintained in a closed recycling loop. For example, they can be incinerated to recover energy or composted to produce biogas.
It's important to perform a life cycle assessment, or LCA, on a material to find out how it behaves. To sum up, any material can be considered sustainable if its impact on the environment is as small as possible, from extraction to end of life.
Absolutely. And don't forget that the use of bio-based materials in building construction and renovation should, in theory, generate energy savings, especially in terms of their insulation performance. Because you'll be pleased to know that some bio-based materials composed of fibers are as good as traditional materials when it comes to insulation performance. This means they deliver excellent thermal and acoustic comfort. Of course, using timber, plants, and other products derived from living organisms to construct buildings is nothing new. They've just been overlooked in favor of materials that were easier and cheaper to mass produce, sometimes at the expense of the environment.
So is the government promoting the use of bio-based materials?
Yes, for example, in the European Union, new laws are being passed, like the ELAN in France, which stands for Evolution of Housing, Development, and Digital. And we also have sustainable construction standard certifications, like the LEED, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and BREEAM, Building Research Establishment Environmental Assessment Method. They reward projects that use bio-based materials and ones that use so-called traditional materials as long as they contain a high proportion of recycled content. because traditional materials aren't always renewable, right?
Well, actually, the growing interest and development of bio-based materials is not just because they are renewable. They are promising in so many social and ecological ways. Public policies need to start recognizing this more actively. Not only do bio-based materials offer effective complementary solutions to traditional materials, they also meet public demand in terms of improving our environmental footprint.
Yes, but all that depends on the type of material produced and where. For instance, in Europe, Portugal is a big, if not the biggest, producer of cork. And cork is a bio-based material that can be used to make items like insulation panels and floor coverings. Another example in Asia this time is rice straw, which can be used as an insulation material for certain types of construction.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a vast array of materials that can be used in construction. For example, plant or animal fibers make really great insulation. Hemp and flax can be used as mortars for bonding and concrete. Other bio-based materials can produce less polluting adhesives and paints. Basically, there's all kinds of materials that can be used at every stage of the construction process.
All in all, bio-based materials sound really promising. However, there are a few constraints to keep in mind all the same. First, we still have a lot to learn about how these materials behave. Plus, so far not many professionals have the specialized skills required to use them. And the regulations in this area aren't exactly crystal clear either, but governments are beginning to produce best practice guides to encourage the development of different bio-based material industries and recycling methods. Let's see what the future holds.
One thing is for sure, we want to avoid bio-based materials generating a rebound effect in the construction industry. It would be easy to think that just because you are using greener materials, you are free to produce as much as you want. This would diminish all the benefits gained from bio-based materials. It would also continue to consume the world's natural and agricultural land that is already under threat. So while bio-based materials get a thumbs up, we also need to keep recycling and renovating the building stock we already have.
Constructing New Worlds by Saint-Gobain.
Behind words, solutions, and innovations for a sustainable future.